welcome to my channel. I'm Nia Sophia, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this cosplay. But first, I should tell you why I made this cosplay. If you don't know, I'm from Macon. Macon is the cherry blossom capital of the world. Don't recommend searching Macon for anything else, really. Every year, we have a cherry blossom festival, which spans for like the whole month of March, pretty much. And despite living in Macon my whole life, I've never really been to the cherry blossom festival. I did participate in the parades when I was in high school because I was in a marching band, but other than that, I never really checked it out, never really looked into it. So sometime around February, my friend texted me about this flyer that she saw at Hello Boba, which is a boba shop here in Macon, in downtown Macon. She told me that there was going to be a convention here. It's part of the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's called the Cherry Blossom Festival Isekai Convention, I think, yeah. And I was just so shocked. I was like, oh my god, there's a convention in my city. I don't have to travel, I don't have to pack nothing. Like, I can just go from my house and just go to the convention. Not only that, but they're also holding a cosplay contest. I'm a cosplayer, right? So obviously I feel like I'm a cosplayer. It's in Macon. I'm from Macon. Why not participate? So immediately, like, I started planning, started thinking like, what cosplay can I do? What can I make within like a month that I can compete in? It took me a while, but I finally settled on Queen Beryl. I'm not really sure why, other than she's a woman from an anime, like a popular anime that somebody would maybe recognize, but like not too popular. Like, I wanted to try to do something that nobody had really seen already, but also trying to do something that's like recognizable. So I finally figured out what character I wanted to do, but now I only have like less than a month to make a cosplay. And I'm not even experienced in cosplay making or like sewing and stuff. Like, I've just recently started learning how to sew. I've only been sewing for about 4 years, and that's not even like a good solid strong 4 years. It's like you know, here and there, dibbling, dabbling, whatever. I feel like I'm starting to develop like this bad habit of competing when I know I'm not prepared or qualified, but why not? Why not? I don't have a reason not to. I'm gonna take you through my struggle of making this cosplay. Today is March 8th and the contest is on the 22nd, so I'm not really giving myself a lot of time. The goal is not really to win, the goal is to participate. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that there's a convention in my city, so I just want to show up and like meet other cosplayers and try to make some friends, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna be starting off with the staff, and I have most of my materials like laid out in front of you right now, and I'm gonna be walking you through some of the stuff that I'm using. So starting with some of the basic stuff, I have a tape measure, a ruler, pen and marker. I also have some paper, scissors, box cutter, glue gun, rotary tool / Dremel, EVA foam. I'm using 3mm, some foam clay, and some sculpting tools. This fillable ornament, wire cutters. I don't even know if these are actually wire cutters, but it worked just fine. So something to cut wire with, some wire, acrylic rod, and lastly a wooden dowel. I may have missed some materials, but if I miss something, I'll try to do my best to go back and explain. I want to give the illusion that the orb is floating, so once I cut this off, my plan is to Dremel like a hole here to fit the acrylic rod to like hold like that, you know? I want to put hot glue, like a thick layer of hot glue, like around the tip and then right around the bottom, so when I put my hole here, I can still open it up and put stuff in it and close it around the acrylic rod. I already used my Sharpie to mark out how big I want it to be. once I'm done with that, it should be able to fit the rod right in. So once I had my hole dremelled and sanded, I needed to add stability or else the rod would just come right out. So that's where the hot glue comes into play. The hot glue allowed me to close the orb around the rod like I had hoped, but to keep it fully in place, I added another layer of hot glue. What I'm doing is pulling the rod and I'm drawing a line as close to the bottom of the orb as I can, and that's where the next line of hot glue will go. This is what it looks like all secured, and I'm going to do a stress test to make sure that it's not breakable, or at least not easily breakable. Now I'm marking where I want the staff to stop, and I'm going to cut the dowel using the saw bit that I used earlier. This isn't the best thing to use for cutting wood, but it's all I had. This is what I have for the structure of the staff. It's really just a water bottle hot glued to the wooden dowel. I didn't really know how I was going to make the staff, but I knew I needed it to be detachable, and the best thing for that would be the fitting for the water bottle, or at least that's the best thing I had access to. I cut out all of my staff pieces using the EVA foam. The taper bits were a little hard for me to pattern. I made so many paper patterns for this, but I ended up using the formulas for circle skirts. So the flatter the piece, the fuller the circle. Now that all the pieces are glued together, it's starting to look like an actual staff. And next we're going to move on to the orb part. So I cut and sanded the water bottle. I do make it a bit shorter later on. Now I'm filling it with some EVA foam, and this is going to be the base for the rod. I also marked where I wanted all my wire to go. I dremelled a hole through the foam big enough to fit the rod, and then covered the whole thing with hot glue. That way it's sturdy and won't move. Cut some strips of wire, each about 7 or 9 inches long. And now I'm going to bend them all into this shape. Once I was done with that, I dremelled some holes into the water bottle so that the wires had somewhere to go. So this is the structure for the upper piece of the staff, and I definitely needed to add more hot glue. In the meantime, I sealed all the foam parts with quick seal, and I was working on this project to the point where I had to bring it to work with me. I'm in my car on my break at work. For the jewelry parts, I didn't record much, so just bear with me. For the gems, I started with clear UV resin and added the tiniest bit of black. I poured that into the mold, making sure not to fill it all the way and leaving a little bit of space. Then I went in with the indigo colored resin and poured that in the center of the gems. Once they were cured, I airbrushed the back of the gems with some color shifting paint, and it looked so pretty. These are the pieces for the headpiece and the earring. For the headpiece was a practice gem I made from hot glue, so I decided to use that instead of resin. For the earrings, I wanted them to be big but without too much weight. So what I'm trying to do is add some structure using the EVA foam, then I wrapped it with aluminum foil and covered the whole thing in foam clay. Here I have the pieces for the necklace and the armband. I used foam clay for the details and tried my best to sculpt it the way I needed to. Then, using my fingers and a little bit of water, I smoothed out the foam clay. Here's my boyfriend priming everything for me. He also painted a few things for me because he is a good boy. For the dress, I ended up drafting my own pattern for this. Like I said earlier, I'm not experienced, but I did end up making a pattern using a duct tape pattern plus the silhouette of a dress I already had. This is my first time doing things the right way and actually making a mock-up. The mock-up turned out pretty good, and I only had to alter it a little bit. So here's my fabric all laid out, which took a ridiculous amount of time. And I had to do this for 2 slippery fabrics. But here are my pieces with the outer layer and the lighting. It was so long that I couldn't really get it all in camera, which I found out was unnecessary later. But even with all the extra length pulling at the bottom, I still like the way that it fit. I had sort of like a mini meltdown over this dress. It was driving me crazy, I swear. First couple mistakes came with the zipper. Like, everything was fine up to that point. The zipper, I ended up sewing it on the wrong side. Somehow. how did I do that? And I had to seam pick it, whatever. And as I was seam ripping the zipper, I was thinking, oh my god, it's taking so long, it's going so slow. Maybe if I just move a little bit faster, it's gonna go faster, duh. But I was like really worried. I'm like, I want to do it slow and carefully so I don't put a hole through my fabric, because that would be really bad. Ultimately, I just gave up and I just started seam picking, and immediately ripped my fabric, put a hole right in my fabric. I ended up fixing it later on, but still, it was like, that's exactly what I wanted not to happen. So I sewed it again on the right side, but it was crooked and like really uneven. So then I seam picked that, sewed it again, and that time it was right. With the bottom of the skirt, oh my goodness, like trying to get the top fabric and the lining together, I messed up real bad. I just thought if I sew the bottom of the skirt, like the little hemline first, and just turn it inside out, like, oh, it'll be fine, it's easy peasy. No, because pretty much what I did is I sewed the bottom of the skirt and I tried to turn it inside out, but I couldn't because I had already sewed like the top of the dress. So I'm trying to turn it out for like 45 minutes and it was not working. And it was like the night before the contest. So yeah, I was freaking out. I ended up seam ripping all of that work, turning it inside out, and then just top stitching the bottom for the lining. So I got a new mannequin head because I needed something closer to my size. Last time my wig was a little tight, so I wanted to make sure this one fit better. So here I have two wigs, one shorter and one longer. And what I'm going to do is seam rip all of the wefts out of the longer wig. Here's what the wig is starting off like. We're going to sew the longer wefts into this wig. I didn't have the curved needle, so this took a lot longer than it needed to. Originally, I had no plans on sewing, but the hot glue method did not work this time. And this is what the wig looks like after adding all the wefts, and it's much longer. Now I have to go in and crimp all of the hair. And this is what it looks like after crimping. I try to make sure I crimp lightly this time because last time I did go a little crazy. So now the hair is fuller while also still being manageable. Now I'm separating the hair into about 7 sections and braiding each one. And then I'm going to add a flexi rod to the ends. And once I did that, I dipped the whole thing into boiling water. This technique is used a lot in braiding, so it turned out really good for this wig. I was still rushing to do stuff like the day of the con. Like literally I didn't get finished until like 30 minutes or so before the contest. But we made it, we did it, we finished it, it's all good. When I was putting the cosplay on, like I did my makeup, I had already done my makeup and everything, and put my wig on, and I started putting on my jewelry, and I looked in the mirror, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm a queen. I just felt so pretty. I felt so pretty, and I was just like, oh my goodness, look at all my work on me. Like it was just so exciting to see, I guess. The dress, I kind of underestimated how much I got going on here, and we tried to like safety pin it so like I'm not exposing myself to the people, and like every time I would bend over or like do almost anything, breathe too hard, safety pin would just fly open. Like I was covered up, but like still I didn't want to be exposed like that. But it ended up being fine. Like I didn't have any mishaps at the convention, so that was great. When I got there, I was feeling slightly intimidated by the other cosplayers, because I was thinking like, oh my god, everybody else is so much better than me. Look at that cosplay, look at that prop, look at this. Oh my goodness, I was just like, oh, everybody's better. They wanted to compete because, you know, I went through all the trouble, like, let's do it and get it done. So I was assuming this was just like a walk-on type cosplay contest, which every other cosplay contest I've done, which is a grand total 2, and have been prejudged, and then you go out on stage. It didn't say in the rules that it was gonna be prejudged. I just assumed we were gonna go walk out on stage and be judged after the fact. But what ended up happening was, while we were in line getting ready to go on stage, like the judges were coming down the line and like asking people like, oh, what character are you cosplaying? You know, asking you stuff like, what did you make? What didn't you make? What techniques you use? All that jazz. And I was kind of hoping, like I was kind of banking on the fact like, oh, it's not prejudged, they're not gonna see it all up close and personal. They did. They always do. It's a cosplay contest. But even then, I wasn't like shy. I was going like, oh, don't look at that, I didn't do that right, or you know. So, you know, just explaining every little detail that I could to the judges. For some reason, they seemed to like the fact that I used an airbrush. On the day of the contest, I really wanted to twirl my staff for my walk-on, but I was so scared that I was gonna drop it. So here's proof here on camera that I can twirl it. I just chose not to. Yeah, you know how I said I wasn't competing to win? Well, guess who won? Judge's choice. It was me. I won Judge's choice. I won Judge's choice along with a Zoro cosplayer who was really freaking cool. Like, he was out there like literally flipping out. I wish I could have recorded it. He had the 3 swords and everything. Like, he just looked super freaking cool, and I got to fist bump him, and I also felt really cool. And so fitting that the 3rd judge's choice was little baby Luffy. Oh my goodness, so adorable. After the walk-on, you know, everybody's kind of just standing around waiting for, you know, the winners to be called. They called 3rd, 2nd, 1st, all that. And the winner ended up being this Harley Quinn cosplayer who made everything on her cosplay. Like, she looked amazing. She looked really cool, and she deserved it. So after that, they were telling like the cosplayers, like, hey, cosplayers, stick around, like, don't go anywhere, because, you know, we have more awards coming up. My friend looks at me, she's like, like, she kind of just did one of those, like, oh, maybe you can win. I was like, let's not get our hopes up, okay? Because I was just thinking, okay, there was a Rainbow Dash, like, Sailor Rainbow Dash cosplayer, and I looked at her, I was like, full-heartedly, I just knew in my heart and soul she's gonna win. I was like, that looks so great. Whatever this next category is, like, she definitely won it, right? Just knowing that, I kind of just tuned out the rest of everything that was going on. I was just kind of like yapping with my friend a little bit. They called the first winner, and I started clapping. I'm like, yay! And I'm looking around like, who did they call? Because I was not paying attention, I don't know. And all of a sudden, like, the crowd is looking towards my direction, and I'm like, who? And I'm like, me? And I'm like, you! I won! I also know how I said I was maybe gonna make some friends. That didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. I was so tired from working constantly on this cosplay that, like, immediately I kind of just left the convention. After the contest, I got like a couple of pictures and went to the car to change because I was just hot. I was sweating. It's only like 70 degrees here in Georgia, but it's a high 70, like, burning. I went to go change because I was just so uncomfortable. Took my wig off, took my dress off. I kept the jewelry. I like the jewelry. It was a good thing that I changed when I did because my staff was somehow melting. I made it out of foam clay, and for some reason, like, when we were out in the sweltering 70-degree heat, it like, you can see, like, it started doing that thing where it's like bubbling, like, all over. And this thing was sturdy. Like, I test swung it. I did everything I could do to this thing to, like, stress test it before the con. And for some reason, the heat, like, just made the prongs melt. Like, they're kind of sturdy now because it's been inside. But yeah, the prongs, the little claws just started melting. We did go around the convention. I didn't record anything because I'm tired and I'm ready to go. Got a couple things and pretty much just left and went to Joann before they shut down. Got some fabric, and that was my day. So is this the best thing that I could have made for the contest? No, but I am very proud of it, and I'm so happy that I actually finished it and won something for once. Yeah, that was really cool, and it was a fun experience, and I'm so glad it is over, so now I can finally start working on a project that I really want to work on. But I also given myself a limited time frame to work on. So hopefully for MomoCon I can have this next cosplay ready. Little teaser. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Bye!